Hi everyone, we're back with another new episode of Who Said What. I'm Hiba.
And I'm Nira.
And today we have with us a really fun guest. She's managing partner of Story Concept Store and founder of Design Narratives, Clair Seffeen.
Hi Hiba. Hi Nira.
Hi.
Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for being on with us today.
Thanks.
Well, we met Claire quite recently at Rise Up. She was our moderator, and it was a really great talk. You had really great insight and great questions, so we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really nice talk, a panel that we had at Rise Up. We met some interesting people, and there were some really interesting questions from the people in the audience.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed. It was the first time I actually moderated a panel that was not fashion. So it was my second favorite F after fashion, food.
Oh yes, exactly.
So that was good, but that was amazing. It was such an easy conversation, and there was so much more. And I think as we were talking, even on the panel, it was like, we need to talk more.
Yeah, we want to take this on the side
so
here.
Much more.
Here, it was a lot of fun.
Minutes.
It's true. It went by really, really fast.
Short, actually. A bit too short, in my opinion.
25 minutes is actually quite long, but the thing is like you said, it just kind of flowed between the three of us.
Once you start, and I think with the history that you guys have and what you were doing, I think there's just so much of it, and it's so much to talk about. And then I think the part when you started talking about being a mom and working as a mom, that's when I was like, we need a separate panel for that.
That's a whole other story, ballpark.
Yeah, so you guys need a separate panel for the mom brain?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I suggested that to be a topic for next year's Rise Up, because one of the founders called me and he said it's very interesting because a lot of women request that. And it's a hot topic, but nobody really talks about it.
I think so.
So I think it'd be great for next year, for
Absolutely.
Sure.
We can champion that panel.
Sure. Okay, so I want to ask you, because, no offense, but I'm really confused about what does Design Narratives do? Tell us more about it.
So in October, I'm actually going to have moved to Cairo for 10 years. It's going to be 10 years.
Wow.
So when I first moved to Cairo, because I got married, and then when I came here, I was still working in Dubai, but I was working based from Egypt. So I was traveling a lot, and the fashion industry was still bubbling. Like it was about to explode with all the creatives and, But I noticed that there was a lot of people that they didn't know the basic vocabulary when it came to fashion. They didn't understand the basic terminology. They didn't know what was happening outside of Egypt. So I thought, why not use my knowledge and all my experience to support these creatives and to educate them on how to do their businesses and so on. So I created a fashion business course, and that took me 6 months to create. I created that, and from that, I kind of launched the Design Narrative so that I'm launching it under something. And I remember when I launched the fashion business course, I had 200 people on my Instagram account, still new in Cairo. Who is going to sign up for this? Nobody knows me. And people signed up. I had 6 people in my first course.
And this is 10 years ago?
This was about 8 years ago. So it was like I started it about 2 years after I finished work. And then from that, people started asking me for consulting. So I kind of moved it forward. And so hence I developed more the consulting agency. So what it is, it's a brand and retail consulting agency. And part of it is the course that I do, the fashion business course, and part of it is consulting for brands. So, and the Design Narratives is because I wanted to keep the design part of it, because whether it's you're a creative in fashion, in art, in food, I can be able to support in all of it. And narratives is a story. So to be able to support brands to get their story out and communicate it out. So I'm so happy to have been able to do about quite a few of the courses now. I've been able to partner with amazing colleagues in the industry to do like fashion business and PR, fashion business and branding. So I've partnered with a lot of amazing people, and I've mentored a lot of amazing brands. I'm really proud of the brands that we have and where we're going. It's very exciting.
Tell us a few of those brands. What are they?
I just finished consulting with Dina Shaker. Mm-hmm. So she's an icon, and so a very established brand in the industry, and she's just opened her first store in U Venues. Mm-hmm. So that was a very exciting and challenging at the same time brand to work with, because she's a very challenging person. She's amazing to work with, and she kind of there is a saying, you work with what you have. but she would push you to work further with what we can find even more. But this was amazing to work with her.
And how long has she been in the fashion
More
industry?
than 10 years.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I think even more than that, like maybe even more, because she used to have a multi-brand store. Then she created her own brand. She's been quite a while in the industry, but I think her brand, Dina Shacket, has been over 10 years. Like I could be very underestimating the amount of time.
I don't know, actually. I'm very ignorant when it comes to these things because I actually don't have time to move around in Cairo. Yeah. So I don't know these brands that well.
And they're all kind of scattered, but she is one of the great ones. And I've worked with Hoa, the men's accessories brand.
Oh, I don't know it.
When they first launched, they opened the store in Knox a few months ago, maybe less than a year ago.
Where's Knox?
It's in Tagamon.
Okay.
Oh my God, all these places.
So they're the first men's jewelry brand.
Wait.
Oh, men's jewelry. That's nice.
Hisham Wali.
I think I met him.
Yeah.
Did he open something in Dubai now?
He is selling, I think he has got his brand there. He just opened his store here in Cairo. Beautiful store. And I love his dedication to, no, I just want to be men's. And, every time you don't do anything for women, it's like, no, men's. Hoa. It's Hoa. It's not Heya.
But can I ask you, it's an interesting question because I feel that a lot of places, fashion brands abroad, they specialize in one thing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people say abroad that that's kind of the key to success,
yes,
right?
To not be scattered everywhere.
But I always feel like here, well, maybe also in the food business, and I feel like you need to do a lot more. You can't specialize in one thing because it feels like you're alienating a huge group that I feel it doesn't work as effectively here, or maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
I think it just depends. People can grow businesses, but sometimes people grow it very scattered. It's like, this is making money. Okay, I'll do it as well. This is making, and it's like, guys, this isn't your direction. This isn't your journey. So stick to what you know, stick to what you're doing, and take that forward. There was a girl once when I first came, and I met her to initially start consulting, and she was doing swimwear. And then while we were having conversation, she was still going to launch. So it was around maybe February, and Ramadan was coming up in about April or May, and she was going to launch for summer. And then she said, I was thinking I can do a line of kaftans for Ramadan, just to do something before we launch for the summer, the swimsuits. And I looked at her and I was like, what does kaftanet have to do with your swimwear? Like, it's not the customer. If you want to launch, wraps, if you want to launch an activewear line or a loungewear, or something that, but kaftans, it's totally different but it's the thought of what can I make money with now? So they're not focused.
I think, that happens. I think we felt that even in the food industry.
Well,
whereas,
definitely. No, but there's always, like, for me in the food thing, it was like, please let me just stick to what we do
and
best.
Scale it up.
You know what I'm saying? Let's stick to, it's like, but Nira, this person is doing this. I'm like, okay, but the brownies are what work. The salted caramel brownies are what work. The cookies are what work. It works. And now that I'm doing it on my own, I'm like, it's the cookies and the brownies.
Yeah.
Nobody really wants anything else. They want something that's easy, fast to eat, tastes really good. It's quality, just like, and when real estate, it's location. You find that with food, it's quality, even with clothes and stuff like that. It really has to do, I want something that you are the best at.
Exactly.
I don't need you to do me, I don't need to do it to Sleche because everybody seems to love it, of course, and it's super easy to make. But, it's okay. KB Studios, they do a great job. Like, their Sleche is
and
fantastic.
let them do that.
Let them do that. Let me stick to the brownies and the cookies because I know I do that better than anybody else.
Yeah, I know. It's true because when we were at the Four Fat Ladies, it was very much of this, like she was saying, you're always looking around and who's doing what. Mm. And I used to always say this at the beginning. I always said this. I was like, when people would come to me and tell me, oh, but these people do this. And I was always like, we don't look at other people. We actually try to innovate and do something different. Exactly. But if you look at other people, then you're going to be influenced by it, right? And then you probably won't do something that's unique and something that's different that stands out in the market. But sometimes it felt like in Egypt, if you miss like in Ramadan, we used to always have to do these desserts, Oriental desserts. And yeah, we did our own thing.
Oh my God.
But it just felt like if you don't cater to that sometimes in Egypt, it feels like you have completely lost sales like in Ramadan.
And I think with what you're saying, I think they sometimes get scared of the new. When new things launch, they're like, what's that?
Yes, it's true.
Do we touch it? Do we take it? And it's always like, I always try to encourage when I work with designers or like upcoming creatives that are still getting into the industry, it's like, be innovative, be the change. The supermodels of the 90s are not the supermodels of now. So who found them? You go find the new models for your photo shoots and the new photographers, because they tend to spend a lot of money while they're still starting on the most expensive photographers and the most expensive models. And it's like, guys, you don't need to be spending this money. So, it's I'm trying to encourage, like when I deal with any brands, I'm trying to encourage them, stand out, be different. Because even though doing something different, it takes that leap of faith and you have to get the trust of the clients. But after that, it's amazing.
So is that one of your challenge? What is that one of the challenges you think or you face with dealing with fashion designers in Egypt?
Yeah, I think, just this morning, actually, I was thinking, obviously with Story as well, we work with a lot of different brands. And firstly, like we're very proud of the brands that we have. It's amazing. And what makes me more proud is the feedback that we get from clients when they come into the store, whether it's Egyptian or GCC clientele or any international clients. And they come in and they're like, these are Egyptian brands? And we're like, yeah. And the packaging and all, yeah. That's all done in Egypt.
And it's funny because when I look at your Instagram account, a lot of the stuff doesn't look, it looks really world class.
They've really changed.
So I was actually going to ask you that. Is everything really made in Egypt?
Yeah.
Okay, that is impressive. There was one thing that I saw, I think there was a lot of things. But one of them was the perfume incense with the sticks.
Yeah.
And that looked like something that I would buy. I usually, when I travel, I buy and I bring back with me.
We have a lot here in Egypt, and it's a matter of digging through the chaos to find the beauty and to put it together in the right way.
Yes, and I think that's probably what you do at Story, at your concept store.
Yeah,
is
we have to be very selective when we're taking on new brands, because we have such a limited space. Mm-hmm. So if we don't curate it in the right way, it'll become a big mess. So we have to be very selective, and the way we merchandise things in the store and the experience that we want the clients to have is so important for us.
And when did you found the Story concept?
So we've been 2 years now. 2 years in March, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to Tagama soon because...
Yeah, we got to go see it.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? I actually went yesterday. I was supposed to meet a friend of mine, and she's like, meet me at District 5. I was like, brilliant. I have a client. I have a friend of mine that's coming on the podcast tomorrow, and she has a concept store in District 5. I just realized now that it's on District 5.
She was in the wrong. She was still going to the wrong place. Just Garden 8.
I know. Yes, but you don't understand.
She told me the story yesterday. She's like, I'm like, District 5 is, but that's
interesting.
That's
do you want me to open a story?
No. I went to District 5 yesterday. You do not understand. I almost had a nervous breakdown in the car with the kids.
She's like, District 5.
I was driving away. I was in the middle of the desert. I was like, where the hell is this place?
When you get there, it's amazing. But getting there is crazy. Like,
so for me,
for now, I'm not used to it yet.
An hour and a half, and I got lost. I didn't go. I was like, came back to Zemen.
It's so weird. The annoying thing about the GPS, if you take the GPS, if you're coming from Giza, Munib, and you pass, you have to get on the side road immediately almost. And then actually you don't. You have to keep going straight. But then the GPS puts you on the side road, and then there's that overpass. That overpass always fucks with me, actually. And then one time I missed, because I'm used to you take the exit.
You're like to give us mini lessons in GPS and how to use the GPS,
GPS doesn't like the easy. I found after Sam showed me the way, I found one of the easiest ways to get
but the GPS
is Sitta October, Kubri Sitta October.
Yeah,
and you go, you're Sitta October, and then when you're next to the cemetery, you take a right, before you get to the road that
Is it District 5? Are you trying to tell me how to get to District 5?
No, that's how you get to the because I took that. That's how you go to get on the roof for it.
I don't care.
So the next time we go, we're going with Nita.
Yes,
Because she doesn't get lost.
I got lost, and it took me all the way around with Hashreen, like a detour for an hour. It was
Oh my
hard.
God, I was going to kill myself in the car. But the kids were good sports.
The thing is, once you get there, it's really nice.
In District 5?
Oh.
I would not go again.
Yeah.
I was completely...
Gardening isn't hard to get to.
I had PTSD after it for like a short, 10 minutes.
No, Garden Aid is way easier. It's so much closer.
Very easy.
It is very nice. And did I go to Garden Aid?
You've been to Garden Aid. We went. Remember, we went when they first opened, and there was that bakery that everybody was talking about, and there's that amphitheater coffee.
Biscotta and Pink Blanket Mama.
Is that where Reef is?
Huh?
Is that where Reef?
No,
is?
that's in 5A.
Okay, sorry. Okay, we'll go. Fine. Let's just forget it.
It's a detour on your way to AUC. Garden Aid. You take a right.
Yeah,
at a certain point.
Yeah, look, don't ask me we take a right or left because usually I'm a passenger and I don't
Okay.
focus on the way.
I know. It's like on the way to Waterway, but right.
That's what I thought.
You thought District 5 was Waterway. Waterway
Exactly.
is here. District 5 is all the way there.
Okay. Let's not bore Claire with my misguided.
These things are far. They're not close to each other.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's huge.
Claire, give us a little bit of background on your Australian accent.
Aussie.
We're huge fans of Australia.
I love Australia. I love it.
So I was actually born there. I was born in Australia and I grew up there. I was there for 26 years. Now, if anybody's doing math, they'll guess my age. But anyway, so I born and raised in Australia, and then I moved to Dubai when I was 26. And it kind of just happened like this. There are some things that happen in life that it's just, at one point when I was in Dubai and I was driving and I could see Burj Al Arab in front of me, it's like, what am I doing here? Alone, and I had nobody there. But anyway, so I moved to Dubai and I spent a total of 12 years in Dubai.
Wow.
But 9 of them in Dubai, and 3 of those 12 years I spent working from Cairo.
Okay.
So I was very lucky that when I came to get married, my manager at the time, she was like, you still stay working with us? Because when I was working in Dubai, I was working as a senior women's buyer for Bloomingdale's Dubai, Bloomingdale's Kuwait, and Harvey Nichols Dubai.
Oh, nice.
So I was traveling a lot. So whether I stayed in Dubai or Cairo, they said as long as you come back to Dubai and so on. So we made it work.
But where did you meet your husband?
Sorry, through my cousin. It was like,
Here?
No, well, my cousin, he came to Dubai to meet me, but you know the ad salonat, which I'm really not into, but it's my cousin like, Claire, I've got this guy for you. And I'm like, I'm not interested. So tries again. I've got this guy. I'm not interested. And then it's like, listen, just introduce so I can get you off my back, and I'll deal with it. But it continued. So here we are 10 years later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I moved here and then I spent about 2.5 or 3 years still working, traveling a lot. But then the mom part, when I first found out I was pregnant, it was a very hard thing to observe. Yeah, it came by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
I خسرت جوزي أسبوع when I found out.
We are not talking. You got me pending, bastard.
He was trying to say مبروك, and I'm trying to say that word. It was a very hard, when my family's in Australia and I was here and I was working and very career oriented, and we knew that we wanted a year before, we have kids, and it happened after 2 months of marriage. So I was like, okay, this is too soon. So by about 2.5 years into working and having Adam, I didn't want to regret anything. So I took the decision to stop working and to stay with him. But that's why also I started the design narratives, because I'm not the type of person that can sit at home.
Yeah.
So I need to work. All respect to women that like to stay home. That's why everybody, what floats your boat, as they say. I need something to keep me busy. So I did the design narratives.
Okay, that's nice.
So so I've been, almost half my life now has been on this side of the world.
Yeah.
But still kept the Aussie accent just to make you happy.
We love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that.
I go back once a year. So I'm going back at the end of this month.
We're in Australia.
So West
Melbourne.
Oh.
Yeah.
You didn't go.
we heard that's beautiful.
I went.
Melbourne's very cosmopolitan. I love it. I mean, maybe biased.
But Sydney is too. But because I went the first time Sydney, Byron Bay, and Melbourne. I liked Melbourne. Reminded me more of like Boston. It's smaller. It's more Melbourne. It has a character.
Yeah.
It has a lot of character. Sydney is just a big city that has character as well. It has character as well, but it's such a mishmash of people and nationalities and people from everywhere that are there and visiting. And Melbourne was actually quite cool. The food in general in Australia is amazing.
Coffee. Yeah.
And
When I
people
went
seem generally happier there.
Yeah, because we're far away from everything.
Yeah, from all the shit. And somebody was telling me this weird thing. I don't know if I mean, I understood it when she said it, but I don't know how to explain it. Basically, she says Australia's amazing just because it's like they're the first people to wake up in the world. So they don't really have any news. They just get the news from everybody else lagging behind. I mean, she was something like that, and it's true. I was like, yeah, they don't. You never hear anything about Australia or making the news or anything, but just because you guys are like just observing the rest of the world.
They're 9 hours ahead.
Yeah, and they're observing the rest of the world. We're all like fuck ups, and
You know, what I like about it is that if shit hits the fan, whatever happened, like I can escape to Australia, and it's like nobody knows we're there. Like it's like a hidden away island, on the other side of the world.
But when COVID hit, it really closed them off from everybody. They really like tight security.
I left. So I was giving birth to my second son in 2019, and when I came to leave, we left February, I don't know, 8th or something like this. COVID was like in the news.
Yeah.
It was like, and we were like, you know, I went to the pharmacy. I tried to get some Dettol and Panadol and so on, just in case, which I couldn't find, by the way. That's a different story. But anyway, so when we were back to Egypt, my parents came back with me, and the airport shut here in March, the beginning of March. So my parents got stuck here. They were supposed to leave in May. They left in October.
oh my,
They got stuck. And then when they came to go back, they had to go back to Sydney because Melbourne was shut.
And they had to quarantine there,
in Sydney
right?
for 2 weeks. And then go, my dad.
But they must have been happy to be stuck here for a while for you.
I was happy. I just had given birth. So my dad's like, I need to find a flight and I need to get out. Papa, I'm staggered. And I'm like, please don't leave me. I've got a 4-year-old and I've got a newborn, like, and it's quarantined, so it's stuck, and I didn't have a nanny. Obviously, it was a blessing in disguise.
Wow.
Yeah, but yes, they were insane. Like, I couldn't go back till 2.5 years. So usually I go back every year, 2.5 years, and the year I went back, everyone in my house got COVID. So we spent 2 of the 3 weeks, everybody.
Oh my goodness! Like, cause that tomorrow, my friend had immigrated, and she was saying nobody's in or out of that country. Like,
We went in 2019, just before it hit, like the September 2019.
oh, was it 2019 or 8?
It started 2020, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you know, that's where you look back at Egypt and you're like,
It was heaven here.
Tahemost.
Yeah, it was.
Honestly, everything was closed there. It's like your gyms were closed. And like here, like I was doing gym online, and you can go. If you wanted to go, you go.
Yeah, you could.
You wanted to go get your hair done, you go. You know, it was...
The club was closed for the first couple of weeks.
Was it? I don't remember. You know, it's such a blur. It's like I blocked that time out because I really did enjoy
All
it.
the gyms were closed for a few months, but the club was too. The club finally opened up, but the gym was still closed, and you're socializing the whole time.
Yeah, it was fun. We had like house parties.
Like, and then even the curfew. My mom was like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for a run at 8, like at curfew. She's like, Nira, they're gonna arrest you. I'm like, Mom, we're in Zamalek.
Yeah.
They're not going to arrest me. I'm going for a run. I'm going for a walk. And I bumped into so many of my friends walking and running as well, because it was nice and quiet and there were no cars.
Absolutely.
The beautiful thing was there was no cars. It was the first time in ever
Everybody's not doing anything.
where you're sitting at home on the balcony and you don't hear a single
I felt like I was in Europe. I felt like I was in Europe for that time. I felt like people are sleeping early here. People are going home early. They have to. So it feels a lot like Europe.
It was so quiet, but I got a bit depressed when they removed the curfew. Like, to me, it was like, I enjoyed the curfew. That everybody went home. It was healthier.
I got depressed when COVID hit. It made me anxious and depressed a little bit. I don't know why.
I was working out, doing my thing.
Yeah, you were.
Life didn't change at all for me. I was like,
You had your kids at that time, right? You already had, yeah.
I already had
they were a year, right?
They were a year by then. No, 2 years. Because they're born in 2018. So yeah, they were 2 years old.
It was tough with kids.
Well, for them, it was easier because they're not in school or anything. So it's not like, okay, they're in school and now we have to like, I think it was hardest for people who are in high school and people in college, right? Because they didn't have that experience. But that young, I think, was kind of okay. And they were at home with me all the time and I was stuck at home. But for me, it was like, that was my thing. Like, I didn't realize, I was like the opposite of you. It took me a very long time to get pregnant. But when I finally did, I was like, I didn't know I was supposed to stay home with kids. I was like, what was I thinking? Like, I was like, what was I think? I know. I was like, I didn't really think this through properly.
And I was just like, twins? I don't know if I want twins.
But I was like, oh, I can't leave the house now. I have to take care of those little fuckers. But I was like, wait, like that was so like, it really threw me off. I don't know why. And I was thinking to myself, what did I think or what was I expecting? But anyways, yeah, it was very, the whole work thing was an issue, became an issue. And it is very tough because like you said, I've worked most of my life and you want to work, but you don't want to you can't work like you did before. But at the same time, you don't want to not be present with your kids, but you also want to like do something for your sanity and do something, because that's what you're used to. But
I think in that sense, Egypt is I think I'm not a mom. This is Nira. I don't have kids, but I find that when you're abroad and have kids, it's much harder. Like it's hard in general. But here in Egypt, you have the nannies, you have the parents. I mean, how about we live right across from each other? If she needs Nira, can you come over?
It's easier, but like we spoke about in Rise Up, it is easier in that sense for sure. But what you don't realize in the other sense, which I experienced, and it kind of just dawned on me after, is that people assume that you're like your mother now, just stay home. It's very discriminating. I felt that in the Four Fat Ladies. It was not that okay, now you're a mother, but you can still help out. No, it became like, it's
a mentality.
It's that mentality here. They might have it at other places, but here it's more, and it's like this. I felt like it was kind of they were using it as an excuse to make me look really bad, and they did succeed to make me me look really bad.
That you're just doing it for the money.
Yes,
exactly. For instance, in my case, I was traveling, so it's like she's traveling the world. She's in Paris next week. She's in New York the week before. But no, when I traveled, it was like hard work. Like I wasn't sleeping, and I would try and make my schedule as tight as possible so that I can get back to my son.
Yeah. And
sometimes I would travel for like 24 hours. Like I'd go with a carry-on, and my husband would tell me, take another day if you want to shop. And I'd be like, no. And I'd arrive in Milan and I'd go do my appointment and I'd leave the next day. So it was chaotic. But then people from the outside will look and like, oh, that's glamorous. How fabulous.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't fabulous. It was really tiring. And it was because also when I would come back from travels, my in-laws would leave, my nanny would leave for her vacation. My husband's at work. So then, and I've got deadlines and I've got my son. So it's like
double duty.
Quite a lot.
It's very difficult to be productive.
Yeah.
Because like you said, unless you have a nanny but at the same time you can't,
they're like a
you want the nanny to help out, but you don't want the nanny to raise your child. And that's what everybody says, give me nanny and get a full-time nanny. I was like, kind of like, okay, I'll get, but is that nanny going to raise that child for me? No, I can do things. It makes my life easier to do things.
Yeah.
But I can't just like, that's it. Okay. Just, whatever.
Exactly.
So it's very...
there's still a lot of responsibility, regardless if you have the help, there's a lot of responsibility with the kids.
And there's a lot of shame and a lot of guilt in that, because I got this whole thing and I kind of went with that whole narrative that, yes, whenever I would feel like I'm not performing as well as I did before I had kids, which was, I was working 24/7. Then I'd be like, us, because, عندي الولاد وكذا. And then they'd be like, قلنا لك اقعدي في البيت. It's like,
They would say that.
They would say that, and then so I would feel really bad. I'd feel worse. Like I'm using that as a crutch, but at the same time, it's kind of true. I can't give 100% like I did before, but it's like they're making me feel bad because of it. Whereas, honestly, this is reality. I shouldn't be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Aslan.
There needs to
You know what I mean?
There's also no switch off point.
I felt the need to create boundaries. The only thing, though, is I have to say, I think I kind of got that from my mother, because my mother also she's a tough woman. She works hard. She's smart. So she expects you to be working. Like, even she would tell people, and she doesn't mean it maybe, but because she would hear it from people, she'd be like, she cannot work as much. Like, she's making excuses for me. Not that she's like, well, this is normal. She's got kids. She can't work 24 hours a day. But my mother expects you, like, my mother is hard ass, and she will drive you to work to the bone.
She works to the bone. Yeah, she will wake up.
Maybe that's where you got it.
Yeah.
So yes,
inherited.
so I used to feel guilty not doing more. Like, sometimes now, if I have like a day, like half a day off, I'll be like, I should be doing something. I should, But I'm better than my mother at that, because I think it's very important. I read the Tim Ferriss book. It's very important, the 4-hour work week.
Sometimes just do nothing.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to do nothing, and sometimes
I do that. Sometimes I don't feel bad at all.
yes, and no, but I think
live
in
with
Egypt,
my mother, so she makes me feel bad.
In Egypt, we have this concept of working hard is better, but it's not. It's not working hard. Can be stupid sometimes. It's not productive at times. So I think it's.
Yes.
I've learned to work smarter, not harder.
Absolutely.
They're not
So-
here. I find they're not efficient in when they work. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's like they get a task done in 6 hours. It could have taken you 4 hours. Generally, they take you 6 hours. But as they feel that they work that extra 2 hours, it justifies.
I feel a lot of people are doing things for days and days, not even 6 hours, for days and days, and they don't get anything done. Like, it's not productive. It's just like donkey work or something. I don't know. But yeah.
But no, like my mom scares me sometimes. If she walks in the house,
She gets nuts.
she comes in from the house and she's like been working and stuff like that. And I've been working too, but I can space my time because I'm baking. I'm doing orders. I'm like, I gotta look busy.
She was like a teenager. Yes, Mom, I'm working. I'm baking. I'm
doing my accounting. I'm doing my accounting. I'm just checking the numbers and making sure everything's. So she's the only time she backs off is if I'm like, I haven't slept in 2-3 nights because I've been working all night and all day. It's like, Dira, are you okay? I'm like, she kind of gets worried about me, and I'm fine, but always have to work.
But I like
good though.
the fact that she is pushing for you guys to work, and a woman, like for any woman to work. Like, I think it's important.
For sure. I mean,
And regardless whether we can manage, we're built differently.
Yeah.
We're built differently, and it can be done. And I think that, sometimes, there are women that will be like, oh, I feel so bad. And, they'll have mom guilt. And we don't realize how much our kids look up to us when they see us working. And I'll see that with my son, for instance, my older one, especially, actually my younger one as well. All good. My older son, he'll be like, oh, I'm going to do a business. And, he'll make up these like fake tickets, and, he'll tell me about the story of what he's going to do. But where did he get that from? Because he sees me working and a store and transactions and dealing with suppliers. But
yeah,
it gets his brain working. So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. No,
so I think it's important, and it's the quality, not the quantity.
For sure. Speaking of suppliers, working with suppliers, how easy do you think it is here? Like,
oh my, no, it's not easy.
That's the bad part of the business, isn't it? Is it difficult?
Yeah. Like I could cry about this. I think there is a different mentality when it comes to the work needs to be done. Guys, we're selling. We need stock. Really? Tick, 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 tick. 3 months later, you go,
where's
the stock bin? It's, there's a different, and this was actually what I was saying before. I didn't get to finish it. This morning, I was just thinking to myself, there's a lot of amazing brands that start with amazing concepts, but I think they don't study it before they start. So then all of a sudden they launch and they have an amazing response, but they can't
keep up with
supply the demand. So then when they come to the demand, when it's so much, they can't get that supply for so long because their factories or their production lines can't meet that. So it's like, how come you didn't think of that before? Like just a little bit of study. A lot of people tend to open things very haphazardly and yalla bina, let's start a fashion brand. Yalla bina, let's start a, whatever. And
Do you help them with that at the beginning, or are you more on the...
I can, yeah, as part of it. Like, so with the design narratives, yes, people can come to me from the start. They can be in the middle of their business. They could be established, like Dina, for instance. And we also do that with story. So we will push and we'll be like, guys, this is working. How can we make it better? This is the customer feedback. So it's important for us to share, because if they grow, we grow, and vice versa.
Okay.
So we always want to push them. If their packaging isn't good, you need to change the packaging.
Okay,
we'll give them that feedback, because all that will help them. So we try to do it. The ones that listen, amazing. The ones that don't.
Do you find your clients are quite responsive generally?
The one, so your design narratives? Yes. Yeah, I think it's also another mentality.
Okay, yeah, because maybe I just mix the two, like the design narratives. You have clients with design narratives, and you have like clients with stories.
No, but sometimes, like for instance, when I teach my business course, so I'll teach them, it's like a journey, it's like an overview of the fashion industry, and this is everything you need to know, so that when you go and think about starting a brand, this is the little things you need. I don't go into depth into topics, but it's like, this is the journey, and this is the streets you're going to face as you're going through that journey. My last course that I did, so one girl sat back at one point, and I was like in the middle of teaching, and just like, listen, don't worry about all this. How are you going to get us into and she said, like a big department store in Dubai. And I just looked at her and I said to her, is nothing from what I'm saying registering? I'm like, no. I'm like, you've got it all wrong. I'm like, you need to listen to what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is all small parts of the bigger picture that will get you into the big department stores. And maybe the big department stores are not for you. That It's sometimes, a lot of brands that are on the rise that I've been looking into, they actually made their millions through smaller niche boutiques. They've been really successful. So it's sometimes we look at the easier picture that we want to be at Selfridges, we want to be in Bloomingdale's, and we want to be in Harvey Nichols, but that's not the places that you want to be at.
Yeah, I noticed, when we were speaking about the Four Fat Ladies, I noticed that a lot of people now, what they think about doing a business, they want to think about the end result before even starting something. They want it, and generally that end result is usually the money or the big ticket or something like that, as opposed to, like you said, it's baby steps. If it's something that you're passionate about, you'll get there. And like you said, it might not be Harvey Nichols or any of those, but it might be the small little boutiques. Because I remember in food business, there was a friend of ours actually, who said he wanted, for him, his main thing, I think he started in Lebanon or something with a bakery, and his main thing was he wanted to be in Starbucks. He worked day and night to get in Starbucks, and he did. And he worked so hard, but they squeezed so much the margin. After a couple of years, he realized it was so not worth it. He kind of dumped that, and he did in other, in cafes and other... And that's where he made money. It's sometimes those places are not necessarily the best ones.
Sometimes don't pay.
Yeah.
They take a while to pay. The smaller boutiques will pay you much quicker.
For sure.
So we don't want to say too much.
Desserts as well. You know what I'm saying? You want to start boutique-ish, homemade. You really get the feeling that somebody worked on it. And then, but the idea of you hear of certain brands that have made a lot of money. So that always clouds a lot of people's judgments. So you're like, okay, we need to expand. But then you expand at the expense of the product.
The quality, yeah.
But you have to go down that road to realize that maybe, and it not work out like us, to realize, okay, then maybe how we initially started is the right way. And that's what to grow organically. And it works in the States. I mean, you have some stores in the States, what's it called? Those bagel, those donut stores that open at 6:00 in the morning. And once the product is done at 1:00 in the afternoon, it's done. They're closing shop. So they make this much. And if it sells out, it sells out. They're not going to replenish.
But it's also a mentality.
But that works in the States.
In Egypt here, you'll have a riot. Yani. And I came from because we used to get some people Izay, they would get really annoyed, Yani. So you never.
You see, but it's so that's what's to me sometimes what's so confusing about Egypt is that, but that place that opened in Maadi opens at early, closes at 1 p.m. Nobody complains.
Yes.
It's
Nobody
it's a
complains.
mentality. It's a mentality. I think it's shifted a little bit since we started.
It's also location. Mine is one of those places, you know, that the majority of the people are expats. They don't give a shit. They're not catering to the super Egyptian. The super Egyptian will go to them. And by the way, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. It was the Americans and the people that are more educated to see and all that stuff that would go to that place. And word of mouth, it spread like wildfire. And now the Egyptians are like, we got to get there before they close at 1. We got to get there before they close at 1. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
it's the panic.
It's محتاجين ناخد بالجزمة so that يعني you know what I mean كده. It's like it's the walk of shame, you know? Like you better be there before if
it's and I don't know what equation works in Egypt sometimes. Is it this equation or is it this equation? And I figured I read something recently, you know, just put your head down and do the work. Put your head down and do the work. You know what I'm saying?
You will know when you put your kids in school, they always say the first 2 years is the foundation stage. That's what builds the character. That's what builds the kids upwards. It's the same with a building. You put the foundations first. It's the same with a business. You put the foundation, you put the strategy, and then you work from that. And you always have that goal you're working towards. It's always going to change as you're working. Nothing stays, as you planned it. But at least there is some sort of, if this happens, this is what I need to do. When by let's say the end of the first year, I run out of money, this is where I'm going to get it. You know, people don't realize that the money will run out. And then if the money runs out, you can't wait to sell to get more capital back into the business. Where can I get that money from? Who can invest in my business? So I think there's still a lot of discovery I think that the brands need to do and it's not just fashion brands.
Okay.
It's a lot of other.
For sure. I think that's strong foundation support.
Marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some brands don't have enough marketing and they're really great, and some brands have a lot and their stuff is mediocre and they do very well. So, it's el bida or farha. You know which one comes first?
Chicken or the egg?
Yeah, the chicken. Which one comes first?
Wow, you said it in Arabic. That was farha wal bida.
But it's the saying. It's the saying in Arabic as well. So it's which one comes first. So you're not. It's confusing sometimes, and it can be very, very irritating sometimes because you have an awesome product. You're like, what am I not doing?
And you're like, what do
properly?
These people want?
And what do these people want? You know, so they complain about this.
Nearest terms, like, what the fuck do they want?
I'm confused because it's really confusing. You know, I don't know. You're like, do we not know enough people? But we know plenty of people. Do we not know this? But we know plenty. So it's sometimes it's frustrating. Actually,
you need to put sold out. Just put sold out.
Yeah.
So that they can come the next day.
Exactly. So definitely, maybe that works.
Yeah.
In Egypt, or maybe we should just open my
Fear of missing out.
FOMO.
Yeah.
Or mofo.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting, but it's you develop a really thick skin in this country. I don't know. I worked in the States, but nothing like. But here, it really.
Not like here.
So what do you think? Actually, that's a good one, Nir. In terms of like working between here and Dubai, how was it different for you? Did you have to shift, and were there more challenges here for you than there, or what was it like for you, the shift?
So I don't read and write Arabic.
Okay, a lot of us don't. I do.
I do.
I started to learn now I can read a little bit better. I read better, but no right.
I tried to teach myself while I was studying for my son in FS1 and FS2, but then things got too hard. So I gave up. But yeah, here is definitely more challenging, but you make it work. It's I push forward, and regardless whether I don't read or write, but I've been able to start a business, and I'm registering my second business next week, or this week. So it's nothing that can hold you back. And I think regardless of the chaos around us, it's an organized chaos. So you just need to know how to go with the flow, and it still works. Dubai is something, it's structured, it has its systems and so on. But here there's a bit of fun.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of
They
spice.
like to keep things entertaining.
For sure. It definitely keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it. There's something about here that is different than anywhere that I've been. I think it's exciting. It can be frustrating, but I think there is potential, and I think we just need to keep pushing.
There is potential, definitely, and it grows on you here. It's like a fungus. It grows on you.
We're gonna get it. Like, you don't want me to have it, I'm gonna take it.
So what do you think are the glamorous parts about being in the fashion industry? And for people who are listening who want to be in the fashion industry and who probably would want to sign up for your workshop, what is the glamorous parts, but what are the not so glamorous parts, so people don't think it, like you said, it's like all about going to Milan Fashion Week and things like that?
You know, just yesterday I was out and I met someone who's like, I've been seeing all your Instagram stories and look at you, like all these things that you're being a part. I said to him, you know, that's 10% of the hard work that we put in. For instance, when I was doing buying, it was like 90% hard work and 10% of the glamorous part of it, because we got to travel. I loved what I did, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I got. And I love the industry, but there is a lot of hard work.
Like what? Like an example?
So, for instance, when someone comes to open a fashion brand, the production part is like one of the most crucial stages of, you know, finding the fabrics, working with the pattern maker, doing the production and the quality assurance, and getting the right product out. It's probably one of the hardest parts of it, and a part where a lot of brands struggle. So it really needs a certain, person to be able to push through that, and you have to be persistent and always following up. But I think when it comes to dealing with suppliers, and especially right now in Egypt, because we have a lack of products. So you really need to, you could buy this bottle of water today and it won't be available tomorrow. So when it comes to working in fashion, actually, let me give you a proper example. Let's say zippers for jeans. And
Goodness.
This is a nightmare for a lot of brands. And to find good zips, it's very hard. So brands are struggling right now in finding good quality materials and accessories and so on. And, you know, I'm going to say something in benefit and on the side of the brands. I think this is what a lot of people in the country need to appreciate about Egyptian brands, is that it's not a matter about, oh, it's bad quality, it's good quality. If you shop at the right places for the right brands, know that this is the best that they can do with what they have.
Okay.
A lot of people tend to buy off Instagram, and they judge those mediocre brands with the ones that have really been trying and really do their best to do their best in quality and so on. So I think you can't compare it. And I think when I see the brands that we have, the effort that they put to put things together, and knowing the challenges that they have to get accessories and fabrics and so on, hats off to them.
Yeah.
Hats off. Like it's, and, you know, yes, things have gotten expensive. Items have gotten expensive, and Egyptian products, because some of the products that they use are imported, hence it's linked to the dollar. Also, the price of living has increased, and they pay people to work for them, and these people need to eat. So things are going to get more expensive, and I think people need to appreciate that.
Yeah, we felt that in food.
as well.
Yeah.
It's since I started my own business after the Four Fat Ladies, it's like, how do I price the menu and try to buffer as much as possible the price increase that could happen in a month's time, and then 2 weeks later, and then maybe a month.
No, but
later.
I think that you can't. It's gonna change if raw material prices change.
Like
right?
the cheesecake alone, in the last 2 months,
Cheesecake?
one of the ingredients went up 20%.
Yeah, it's hard.
The main ingredient went up 20%. You know what I'm saying? The ingredients.
So, I mean, there's a challenge. There's a very hard challenge for brands. But I think the positive side of it is that when you're a brand, when you see people wearing your products and talking good about your products and You see it on social media. I think this is very rewarding. Working in the industry, I mean, seeing the final product, being able to see the stores open, to see the reaction of clients. Like, I think one of my biggest rewards recently, or since I've been living in Cairo, since opening Story, is hearing the feedback of clients when they come in. And in our initial presentation that we gave to the interior designer and the graphic designer in the mall and so on, our first paragraph was that we wanted it to be a space that brings together a community. We didn't want it to be a selling space. We wanted to bring together community. We wanted to create an experience. We wanted warmth, coziness. And clients come in and say this word, "This is so cozy. Oh, this place is so nice. It's so warm." And it's like, did you read our presentation? And we don't know. So this feels like that. When I speak to my partner, I'm like, we have achieved what we wanted 200%, because that feels really good. So, it's all the hard work that we put in. When we see a client come in and, she's happy, she's had a good experience, this is really important.
That's great. So what is your advice to any new upcoming designer or somebody who wants to become a designer, a fashion designer? And what course can they take of yours? And what do you think that they should think about in coming into this business?
They definitely need to take my course.
For sure. What's the name of your course?
Your course being offered?
So I had different venues. The last one I did, it was online.
Okay.
So they didn't need to leave their house. That's very convenient. But so it depends on the venue that we decide on. And I always, if they've done my course, I always encourage them to do pattern making.
Okay.
I feel that that's very important, because to understand fabrics in comparison to patterns, because that's where a lot of the misunderstanding comes between people without experience dealing with the pattern makers here. And it's like, I want this fabric on this pattern. And the pattern maker would tell her, okay. And he'll make it. So she's wasted money. So understanding the pattern and the fabrics and how they work together, I think is a very good, very important, not good, it's a very important aspect of building a brand. To be able to, translate all your vision into actual products.
Do you think somebody can do fashion, a fashion brand as a side hustle, or is it so time consuming? It's something really that you need to focus on 100%?
A lot of people do, because a lot of people will be working to fund their brand, and they'll have their day jobs, and they're really hard workers.
Yeah.
It will be hard to be working full time, but because they need to fund it, because it takes so much money.
What kind of money does it take now in terms of what is it, the fabrics and the
it will depend on the kind of brand that you're going to create or develop. However, just think about your accountant to set up your license, and then your branding, and then just those kind of things you've already hit just the basic things to start. So right now, I see that with any brand, when you want to get fabrics and so on, at least £1 million.
£1 million.
I think, at least, to just start with the bare minimum, to be safe, to be able to get you through a few seasons.
And my mother has a shop, she has a concept store.
I love it. Yeah.
And she has home accessories, and she works with a lot of new designers like you do that do homeware products and things like that. Local ones.
Really
and
nice.
A lot of these younger people do what they do now is they outsource, they give them designs and they outsource it to big factories that, sell in big quantities. Is that what people are doing now for fashion? Because that makes it feasible to do something on a small scale. But at the same time, the overhead is pretty high, I would think. And so that's why the product's a little more expensive.
But that's why we have 16,000 t-shirt and hoodie brands. Because there are factories that
produce those things.
Quantities of t-shirt, and then you can take a minimum of 12.
Okay.
So now everybody is opening t-shirt and hoodie brands. It's not a bad thing to open, but if you can find a unique way, a product with a unique selling point of what you're going to do differently with those t-shirts and hoodies, I'm all for it. So, but that does happen. But when you're looking into more fashion pieces, no, it's you really need a certain pattern maker and a certain production to be able to get the quality that you want. Okay. And a lot of brands have worked really hard to get there. I know one brand her pattern maker that she had, she goes to me, when he came to me, she goes to me, he wasn't like this. She goes, I was on top of his hand, teaching him and telling him and guiding him till he became as good as he is. So it's a partnership as well. She invested so much time into him. And you know, the funny thing, actually, she asked me for a pattern maker. So I was able to get a contact, and I sent to her the number. And after about 2 weeks, I called her and I said to her, how did you go with the pattern maker? Was he good? She goes to me, you won't believe what happened. He worked with her for 2 days, and then he went to her and he said to her, بصي يا مدام أنا يعني مش هقدر على الشغل ده. She's like, why? She goes, أصل شغلكم نضيف قوي وأنا مش متعودة على
Oh my God.
So, I mean, I appreciate that he was honest, but that's because a lot of, unless you have the quality assurance is so important.
Yeah.
So you can get an A grade quality, or you can get a C and D grade quality. She wanted the A grade. He's used to working differently. So he was so honest, and he's like, I can't do it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Funny. Well, that's good, because that's
I appreciate that, right? Yeah. But I think he ended up going back, and he ended up working on himself, which is great.
Oh, that's great.
Because she was willing to put in the effort to train him. And, I think as long as people are willing, I think that's great.
I mean, if I found somebody in Egypt who tells me, who's that honest with me, I'd be like, he could be a keeper. If you, like you said, like if you train him, he might be somebody that would be.
You know, the new place, Nabarawi Street, that opened behind Radio Cinema.
Yes.
So all the stores that open, a lot of them are, my friends. So when I went on the first night, like I hadn't been in that back part, so I walked in and I was like, did I walk into the wrong street?
That's true.
There's an ahwa.
There were all the stores.
It's ahwa.
There were garages.
And there's an ahwa on the other side.
Yes.
So I was speaking to one of the store owners, and I said to her, and she was telling me about the ahwa, and she said, actually, before we opened, he was taking up both sides.
Yeah.
And she said, without anybody asking, he moved his tables to one side of the street when he saw the store start to open up. And then he started to upgrade his chairs and tables when he saw the quality of the people that were coming, and he saw that like there were tourists and
smart.
So I really appreciated it. I said to her, I was really happy to hear, because instead of fighting, he's working together.
That is really nice.
I noticed that in Cairo Food Week, because it was right around the corner. The market was right around the corner from those stores. And we had gone one time when those garages, there was an art exhibition in downtown. So they weren't really using those spaces. They used those spaces to showcase some stuff, but it was literally a garage that they kind of like
Little stalls.
little patchwork.
Yeah.
And then, so then
quite
we went
nice
this
then.
time, and I saw these stores. I walked and I was just like, they turned into stores.
That area has a vibe. It's a cool vibe. I like it a lot.
Esmalea Group has done an amazing job.
Amazing.
Reviving. I wish they can take over more places in Cairo to do that.
For sure. I agree. It's amazing.
And also, like, the vibe of the people in the ahwa is different.
Yes.
There's a different vibe to the people that are sitting there, that you feel that they're slightly more tolerant and I don't know, this is like stretching a bit, maybe not open-minded, but yeah, it felt slightly more homogeneous.
No one's looking at you when you're walking past. Like, because when I first stepped in, like I came from the back of Radio Cinema and I walked in and I was like, I kind of stopped and I was like, this is not really comfortable. But then I just kept walking and no one looked and no one annoyed you and it was fine. So like what you were saying, it's a different crowd.
Yeah.
It's like they've been desensitized.
Which I'm a little bit offended by. Why isn't anybody staring at me? Like, am I not good enough?
But it's interesting. And then there's the right, because also where the townhouse gallery was, where the food market was, there's this, if I bumped into some friends of mine, because there's a theater. There's a play. A local Egyptian play that Sam was going to in Omar, Yasmin, a bunch of people were at the food market, came to the food market but they were there before, and then there was a play, and then after.
Interesting.
This place is amazing.
It is fun. It's fun to go there. I like it. I like the vibe. I think it was really cool.
You want to change, you want to experience, I think, Cairo in a more unorthodox way.
Yeah.
I think what it is. An unorthodox way for people here, but for us, it seems kind of normal because that's what we do when we travel. So, I'm enjoying the fact that they're using downtown more, because it's so beautiful to walk around. downtown Cairo. It's really beautiful. And you
like
have
it.
all these buildings, and they're really doing great work, actually. So I'm happy about it. But it's interesting. Those stores were really cool, though. There was a lot like that. One store that had leather bags.
Yeah.
They were really cute, actually.
Virgo. Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
I have to come to your store.
She attended one of my courses.
Oh, really? And there was that vintage
lovely
store. There was that vintage store in the
Alma.
corner.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's all of them. That was interesting. I took you inside that store.
We went to all of the stores.
Yeah, we went to I had a lot of friends that were going into the vintage stores specifically.
Yeah. So we want to just tell everybody, whoever wants to follow Claire, please follow her. She has an amazing concept store called Story in Garden 8. And she is the founder of Design Narratives. You've heard all about it on this podcast. And it seems really interesting. If I decide to do design now, I'm going to take one of your courses. And
You have an account on Instagram for the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Story Cairo.
Story Cairo.
And then the design narratives separate.
Yeah.
And and so we're very happy that you came on.
Yes, thank
And
I'm so happy for this little catch up. It was
Yes.
amazing.
yes, thank you. And I know you've come from a little bit far away.
Heliopolis.
Okay.
We'll come to your side.
Yeah, we're going to come to your side. We got to check out your
There are a
store.
couple of restaurants I like there way more than here.
All right,
so.
deal.
Sachi.
Have you ever
We'll have dinner at Sachi one time.
That sounds good.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any questions, any comments, please don't forget to DM us on Who Said What, our Instagram account, and basically subscribe and follow on all the podcast platforms. And we'll see you next week.
Exactly. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire, for being here.
Thanks.